Shelley, if you're talking, you're muted.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning in British Columbia. I would like to start off by introducing Angela Heck, who's the Executive Director of the Whistler Film Festival. And she's going to start us off and introduce us to these amazing people in the room. I'm going to be in the background running the tech.
Excellent. Thank you, Shelley. And thank you to everybody who has joined us here for this very special Q&A for our Screenwriters Lab at the Whistler Film Festival Society. To be honest, the response here has been incredible. It's really overwhelming. A lot more interest in this program than we'd even anticipated. So it's fabulous to see you all here. I would like to start by acknowledging that the Whistler Film Festival takes place on the traditional unceded territories of the Squamish Nation and the Lil'wat Nation, and we are very honored and grateful to be a part of their on their lands, to work, live, play, and love there, and we very much honor their language, culture, and history. Shelley and often me, we are also on Treaty 1 territory, which is also the national homeland of the Red River Métis. I invite you all to take a moment and just acknowledge where you are and the gifts of the land that we are the generous beneficiaries of. So I wanted to welcome you all here and once again, thank all of you for being here. And also thank you to the sponsors of the Screenwriters Lab, the people who've made it possible for us to present this program through the generous support of Telefilm Canada, Creative BC, and most recently Paramount Plus. We're able to bring this program to you this year. This is honestly one of our most successful talent development programs. In the last 5 years, we've gone through some significant changes, and the results are very, very tangible. We've had some great alumni come through, like Jules Kostashchin, whose Broken Angel also premiered at the Whistler Film Festival, Julia Letters with Love in a Major Organ. We've had Harbor House, Little Orphans by writer and actor Emily Bridger, which actually won our Borsos competition for Best Canadian Feature. And of course, A.W. Hopkins' Indian Road Trip. These are all scripts that went through our labs and have been produced and have seen great success. We also had Jessica Landry, who was part of the Screenwriters Lab in 2020, and her script, My Only Sunshine, has participated in the Blood and the Snow Horror Development Lab, and she was awarded a $10,000 production credit as a result of that. So there's also, of course, our guest, Aisha, Evelina's seahorse. I'm going to let Ruth, our wonderful facilitator, and I should tell you more about that. But suffice it to say, there's been some incredible successes that come out of the incredible work that the participants do with the mentors, the facilitators, and all the people that they meet as a part of this process. We have had, through our programs and our 24-year history, over 3,500 alumni go through our programs, and they're all doing fantastic things at this point. As you might know, the Whistler Film Festival, the mandate is really to discover and develop and showcase talent, and that is something that we've really been focusing a lot more as we develop our talent programs for everyone. So what else can I say? I think you're, first of all, in really great hands. Ruth Atkinson has been facilitating this program for many years. She's an incredibly caring and generous person, very knowledgeable. And in fact, her talents are really solicited throughout the world. She's coming up to us from, where are you, Ruth?
Saudi Arabia, Jeddah.
Saudi Arabia, right. She's had a very, very adventurous travel day. And Aisha, where are you coming to us from?
Oh, just regular old Toronto, Eastern Standard Seaboard. Awesome. I would love to go somewhere very warm, though. So, Ruth, I'm very jealous.
Next time.
So, thank you for joining us today. We'll hear more from you. And I think I will throw it over to Ruth Atkinson to take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. Appreciate that. And thank you, Shelley. And thank everybody for joining us and for your interest in this program. Whistler and myself, we are deeply passionate for developing Canadian screenwriters. And the passion is throughout the entire program, our labs, the process, the structure. And I'm really excited for everybody to be taking the time to chat with us, and please give us your questions. They can be questions about the program and the structure. It can be questions for Aisha, who has gone through the lab. I do want to share just a little bit about the format this year because it's going to be a little bit different. But Aisha, do you mind introducing your fine, fabulous self?
My fine, fabulous self. Hello, my name is Aisha Evelina. I use she, her pronouns. I am based in Toronto. It is a nice day in Toronto today. It's just not 30 degrees, and that is what I like. I'm an actor, writer, director, produce if I have to, which happens a lot, but that's okay. And so, yeah, I did the Screenwriters Lab in 2021, went on to win Talent to Watch in 2022. We shot the movie Seahorse in 2024, and now I'm working really hard to finish it in 2025. I also was nominated for a bunch of CSAs for this show called The Drop. It was a short form series. Yeah, we were nominated for 5 Canadian Screen Awards. I had 3 of the nominations for last year, 2024. Pleased to say that it'll be out on Tubi next month, which is like such a slay. It's so hard to get on that platform. So I'm like actually patting myself on the back because it's like hard. And so yeah, I'm just a girl trying to make a movie and buy groceries.
Easier said than done. Thank you. I appreciate that. You sharing about yourself. I'm a huge fan of Aisha, and I was Aisha's lead mentor, and we've continued to work together and stay friends, and so I'm love you.
Also, can I just say, Ruth is a very big deal. Like, I was at a film festival in like 2 or 3 years ago, and your name popped up on, I was in a block at Holly Shorts, and your name popped up in 3 of my favorite shorts as like story consultant at this festival, and I had no idea that you had worked there at all. So sorry to interrupt you, but I also just had to give you your fleurs.
It's a mutual love fest. This is what happens when you go through the lab. You just meet people, you're just like friends for life. So this year is a special edition. We are changing things a little bit. The basic structure is the same in that there's 3 main parts, but we will be doing our first part in August 8th, or no, 9th through 13th in Squamish. We have a new partnership with Capilano University, so we will be there on the campus. It will be that our first phase of our of the lab is a script intensive. We're looking at the script, we are exploring it from all angles. It's mentor feedback, it's peer feedback, and the first day of that first phase is going to be open to the public. So it'll be a full day workshop that is actually, or workshops that will be open to the public. So you can come on up to Squamish. After that first phase, we're really tearing into the scripts. We then have a mentorship phase after that where writers are guided in the rewrite, in the process of the rewrite. At that same time, you'll also be working on a pitch deck. And then all of that builds so that we'll have the first in-person, then we have our second phase, which is mentorship with your, with your mentor and also with the group. And then we'll have a second week-long phase that will be online, and that's all business and industry, where we'll be bringing in producers and agents, and you'll be working on your verbal pitch. The goal with our lab, even though it's slightly different in that we're going to be in Squamish, it's a little bit shorter timeline. The goal with the lab is always that you're going to be leaving with a solid script, an excellent verbal pitch, and a pitch deck, so that you have everything you need to then ideally come to the festival and pitch your project, or pitch your project anywhere that you are ready to basically take it to market. And that brings me to you, Aisha, and how you felt about going through the lab, because you continue to work on your script after the lab, but it wasn't long after when you were when you got Talent to Watch. But I'd love to hear a little bit about how you feel the lab, the process was for you, what you felt you got out of it.
Yeah, well, I'd say firstly, like pals, like the folks that I was in the cohort with, I still talk to, and like it's just, I think my experience has really highlighted how important it is to be fostering the seeds of strong relationships, and because they will come to help you and usher you forward and keep you afloat spiritually, as well as just like helping you navigate the industry so much. And so yeah, like I was saying to Ruth and Shelley before we hopped on, that like I have a cut of my film, and we had been going through multiple rounds of feedback, and I needed fresh eyeballs. And like I literally messaged to the people in my cohort at like the crack of dawn because I needed feedback by like basically like I want to say 18 hours later. And I was like, help. And both people separately were like, no problem, I got you. And it was like, but I had met them at Whistler. So I'd say like my experience was just like really wonderful because I left with pals. I know that sounds so silly, but like I think it's so important,
Yeah.
especially like because this industry is just made up of people and it's about finding your people. So that's one of the biggest things for me that I've and then also Ruth, like how many times have I called you crying about a script? Really, really.
Writing is hard.
I was fully doing another lab. I was doing the Warner Brothers writers program, which is a great program. I think it's, oh gosh, I think it's gone now, but it was great. And yeah, I had a mentor and the mentor was lovely and I like, it was so great, but I just didn't have access to them. And I owed a draft and I just like couldn't crack this script. And I literally panic dialed Ruth and was like, help. And sure enough, Ruth was there. Ruth is like a very good script supervisor, like script therapist, I'd say. But anyway, all to say, it was the people that I carried forward in addition to like the fun materials, which we can talk about, but it was the people and the relationships with Whistler.
Yeah, I think it's vital. I think that cohort, the relationship for the cohort is super important. So we often get asked, what do you look for? What kind of material? What kind of writer? And we're always looking for original stories. Your piece is a great example. Actually, would you mind giving the log line for Seahorse?
Yeah. So Seahorse follows a woman who is working to get back on her feet after a mental health crisis type thing. And one day she's traveling home from work and she falls off her bike. And the person that comes to help her happens to be an unhoused person who also happens to be her estranged father. And so from there, she, beyond reasons as to why she understands it, she takes him home with her. And over the course of the next 3 days, her understanding of life and family and self are like thrown into disarray as she tries to like parse through parts of her past, but also like reintegrating this person into her life when she doesn't really know him. So yeah, that's basically the film in a nutshell. It's a 85-minute drama with a touch of magic realism.
Mhm. That last scene, man. It's my favorite. Well, your piece is exactly the kind of story. Like we look for work in all different genres. Yours happens to be a drama with a touch of magic realism. But it's personal. It's deeply personal. It was nobody else could tell this story. Like you had to, it is your story. It's so uniquely you. You were deeply passionate about it, and you were very committed to seeing the process through. So when I think about the kind of project and the kind of writer that we ideally go through the lab, well, you're sort of perfect example in both that your project was so unique and specific and to you, and obviously well executed and beautiful, but like really moving. But then you were very committed and passionate about telling it. You were very driven because, as you know, making a movie is really hard. So you need that that passion and that commitment. So when I think about material and kind of writer that we're looking for, it's that right combination of material and the writer. The other thing that we look for is writers who are on a path, like who they haven't just written one script and it might be your first script. I'm not saying it can't be your first because we have had that, but it's somebody who is looking to form a career. Like they are in the flow, right? They are, maybe they've gone to school or they're working on set or they're going to workshops or they've been working on their craft and maybe this is the first thing they've submitted, but they've written 10 other scripts, so because we're looking at supporting the filmmaker long term, not just for that script. And I feel like once again, Aisha, that was something that I saw in your application right away. It was like, oh no, you are a filmmaker. This is what you're doing, So I'm curious, the idea of like sort of having career support or long-term support, did that draw you to the lab at all? Did you feel like that was something that was, that you connected to?
Okay, well, what I will say is like, it was my desire to get a thing on a screen. I would say I'm a writer that doesn't like writing. I've said this to you a bunch of times. I will write because it's like for me a means to an end, because I love filmmaking. I love like watching the thing being like, it wasn't there, and then a bunch of people got together, now it's there. So for me, like one of the driving factors was just like, how do I make this movie? And like I want it to be good. And I had been like, I had talked to a bunch of like mentors, that kind of thing, and they were all like, well, you need to develop your script. And so I was like, okay, I will apply to the Whistler Lab to develop my script. The idea of development like wasn't a thing for me. I feel like I'd made a bunch of shorts and I was very scrappy. But for me, the drive was just, okay, well, I want it to be good. And the best way to make a good movie is to have a really strong script. And so my desire to make a strong script, or write a strong script rather, was like what pushed me forward toward doing the lab. Because like I was saying to Ruth earlier, and I really believe this, chances are if there's a hole in your script, you'll be sitting in an edit or a color session even, being like, oh, I wish I had just fixed that. And you can't. And I was saying I will never, ever, ever move forward with making anything unless the script is airtight. And like we do our best. Like all I can do is my best. But what I'd say is like from the Whistler Lab, what I got was like the drive to like do better, to really, really break the script apart. In a place that was like judgment free, where we were all just in process. And it's like, okay, do you want to write a good script, or do you want to cling to this idea of what you want to write? And I feel like everybody was just like, we're writing good scripts. And you kind of just have to check your ego and put it out the door, which did happen for me. And I'm happy it did.
I'm so glad you said that though, because it's true. Like it's hard. So you've written this precious thing, right? And it's hard to be willing to shake the snow globe. But we often, I would say, people come through that first phase and they're starting from a page one. I think you were maybe not a page one, but you were doing some big shifting. And back to who I think is the best fit for our lab, it's somebody who's willing to do that. Because if you kind of feel like, I think my script is actually really, really ready, and it might be, and really just needs kind of more like page edit, like line edits or something, you probably don't need the lab. Like this is really, sometimes we get asked, are you, do you take first drafts? And we do. What's important though, is that what you're trying to say. It might be an early draft because it should be a certain work in progress, right? We don't, if it's super, super, super polished and like ready to shoot tomorrow, then, this is, you probably just need, to do that polish and shoot it. So this is really for people who are really interested in getting in the weeds with it all and have that, bravery and courage to really do the deep dive, which I think you did. You were willing to look at it from all angles.
Yeah, and it like didn't feel good. Like what I will say is, but I think like because I'm like, because I do I act, I write, and I direct, I feel like even now with the cut of my film, like I'm really like, it's the Aisha show.
Right.
Hopefully people want to watch it. But I'm like, really and truly, I think the only way that the work is augmented is by the viewership of like trusted collaborators. Like the only way that it gets better is by like, and obviously you have to be like very selective with who you're speaking to, that kind of thing. But like, I genuinely felt like a deep sense of trust when I was at Whistler. And the idea is some of them ended up into the script. I think a lot of them actually, but I think the other thing is like the deep sense of trust that I got, and like the willingness, like you're safe there. And I just think you have to be willing to break it down. And it didn't feel good, but I'm happy because personally, I just feel like the work is augmented when the views and like notes of others are involved, because then it's just like the you show, which is fine. Yeah. There are auteurs like that, but I don't know if I agree, because then you get people making like 4-hour movies and we're like, what are we doing here?
Well, you can be in an echo chamber in it, because I think so much of this is really, it's skill building in a lot of ways, right? Hopefully the things that the process you're learning in the lab and testing and trying are things that you can take to, all of your projects moving forward. This is really bad, but I just have to plug in my computer. Sorry, a little bit jet lag, so not quite. So Aisha, you take it for 2 seconds.
Bam, bam.
Aisha, did you maybe talk about telefilm?
Oh yeah, sure, I can do
Were you
that.
scared to
Yeah.
apply? How did you do it?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'd say like, actually, Shelley, you had asked me this question earlier, which is a great segue. Um, I, the idea of an accountability person to keep you to account is like important. I am not a person that has this idea of a dream job. I do not dream to labor. I'm saying to Shelly and the bunch that I would like to be on a beach drinking out of a coconut. And so what the lab like really got me to double down on is like these materials, which I then used, which were really fine-tuned in order to put our package together for the Talent to Watch application. So like in addition to having a script, like I had been on my second draft of the script, and then we submitted, I think, the third draft, like the draft that I had turned over in the lab. And from there as well, we had to build a deck. And when I say had, like no one made me, but like it was an assignment. I don't think I would have did that had it not been due on Monday at 9 a.m. PST. Truly. And then the last thing I'd say is like even the pitch, because like there is for the Talent to Watch component, there is a pitch video. And like I really think like you have to be able to talk about your thing with ease. And like
Yeah.
I won a couple of competitions. Like I did the Iceland Filmmakers Lab, like I think it was 2023, and I won their pitch competition. What pitch did I use? The one that I developed at Whistler. And so I had all these things
Evergreen.
ready. I'm sorry?
It's evergreen.
Evergreening? Is that a term?
No, your pitch is evergreen. You can like use it forever.
Oh, yes, exactly. Like I was saying, I still use it today because I no longer really know how to pitch the movie, but then I have to pull up the document that's titled Whistler Pitch in my G Drive, and there we go. But yeah, it was just like the Talent to Watch application, like it's big and it's aggressive and it's kind of annoying, but like it's $250,000 deposited into a bank account, so I'm not complaining. But I was able to put forth, I think, a strong or a successful rather application because the development. So in addition to developing the script, you're also developing your relationship to the project and you're developing your pitch, which are all things that you have to do when you submit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and all of the, Talent to Watch was a perfect fit for yours. I mean, obviously, I wish it was, $2 million instead of what it is, but don't we all? But once again, we are looking for it's the project, the filmmaker, and kind of where they're at in their career and what they're hoping for, but also a piece that can be made. Like a piece that can be made within the Canadian landscape and the funding options that we have, and Talent to Watch is one of the good ways that a first-time feature writer can get their project made. So when I think about projects that are good for the lab, it doesn't have to be a Talent to Watch. It can be larger than that. But if you've written something that is, I don't know, the next Marvel movie, it's not likely to be made even with a co-production in Canada. So that wouldn't necessarily be a good fit, but things that, certainly are a good fit for Talent to Watch or telefilm funding in general, or the provincial agencies, or any kind of a co-production. Those are the kinds of projects that are good because we want to help you make your movie. It's a script development lab, but it is the whole industry piece of it is to help you make it, to help you. Yeah, we want you to get it on screen. So that's something we look for.
I think as you say that, it also just dawned on me, like the true answer to the question. Like earlier, I was like, I wanted to make a movie. And so like, I think one of the reasons as to why I was drawn to the Whistler program was because I was like, oh, this is how I will make my movie. Because I wasn't, I'm truly not interested in being a writer that has several scripts in my drawer. Like that's some people and they're like wonderful. Like for me, I'm like, I must make my thing. And I also wanted to note Jen Walden, she did my cohort. And I think I'm not sure if she did regional funding and hers was big scope. It was a sci-fi in the Arctic, if you remember Mother.
Yep.
I
She
still
just
think
shot
about it.
She
You're
just wrapped.
kidding.
No, she just wrapped like maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's in
Oh,
post. She's in post in Calgary right now.
And she got telefilm as well, the same year as you did.
Yeah.
yeah.
Regional.
I didn't know that. Yeah, but she got like way more money than I did.
Yeah.
Also bigger scope. Shout out to Jen. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can send her a message. That's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exciting. And that's exactly, you guys are like exactly what we hope for, right? And you're right, the projects are very different. Her sci-fi set in the north, lots of effects, and yours is, a urban drama, with a little touch of magic realism. So very, very different, but both of you have super unique voices, very strong passion for your pieces. Like you're really committed to bringing them to life. And we all responded to that, and I think back to the cohort of it all, you guys made a great fit.
And I think I saw Sinners last night, and just to like add to what you're saying about because I feel like there's like such a conversation about like voice-driven stuff versus like stuff that's commercially like has commercial appeal. And like I saw Sinners last night and I didn't realize, like, I don't do scary. But what I will say is I'm like, it's this whole voice-driven business of like really doubling down on like something that has like an interesting thing to say.
Yeah.
I do think there's commercial appeal to it.
Right.
And a part of me feels like organizations like this, like if I ever win any kind of award, I will definitely be like saying like I'm the product of public funding and I'm the product of like organizations like Whistler Film Festival, because it's like how can like these programs allow you to ascend to great heights, and like I had to start somewhere, you know what I mean? And so for me, at least recently, I've been like feeling like, oh, does anyone care about like my story? But no, go watch Sinners. After you apply to the Whistler Film Festival Screenwriters Lab, and it's just like it's good for a reason, and it's good because it's something so true and like resonates so deeply with that filmmaker. And then also, it's like a cool movie on top of that. So
Yeah. Well, and if you think back to his first film, Fruitvale, Fruitvale Station, right? It's like you can see the progression. So if our lab is maybe for the Fruitvale stations or maybe second or third feature,
yeah,
it's nurturing that voice. And obviously you're a writer director, but you don't have to be a writer director. We are still looking for if you are not directing it, totally fine. But it's still that same level of passion, this is something that is burning inside you to be told. Um, there's never, in my opinion, ever a reason to write to the marketplace, because we never know what the marketplace, it's constantly changing. If you write something like Sinners that is really deeply personal, it will find an audience. It will ultimately be commercial, unless you're like doing David Lynch or, that's kind of different thing. But writing something from your heart that you care about is what's actually, I think, far more important. And it's going to be the thing that is going to help you navigate the whole process. So yeah, Shelley, do you, I see that you're answering questions in the chat. Is there anything we're missing?
Yep, we've got a few, and I'm going to feed you some questions. I just want to know your best advice, Aisha, at this point for somebody who's considering applying. Besides prepping to make sure you have everything, do you have any words of wisdom on why you think you did well in your application?
right. Thank you. I'd say, well, I think it's twofold. You have to care and then also not care. And when I say like, I think it also maybe comes from an acting background where like you face so much rejection that you just like prepare to no end. And then I did my thing. And so I would say the first part of it is like, it must be undeniable. Like it must be airtight. Make sure like when you're like with the questions, if there are questions, that you're answering the questions, like specifically double, like just make sure it's like airtight. I feel like every now and then, like sometimes folks ask me to like read their applications for things, and I'll be like, you're not answering the question here. Like, and I feel like for me personally, why I've the poster child for so many programs is I just like make sure that I'm being very specific and detail oriented for what is required for the submission. So have someone read your letters, have someone like think like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to just be, and also the idea of practicing the idea of sharing like your letter of intention or whatever, have someone else read it, and give their 2 cents, someone you trust, those kinds of things. And then another thing I'd say is it's a pitch. I do think in some regards, every application is a pitch. What is the story? Why is it, why are you the person to tell it? And the last question, which is why is it relevant today? So those are the things that I had always had in the back of my mind when I was crafting the application. And then just generally, because not everybody can get into the Whistler lab, apply to everything. I get so many rejections for things, and it's like I have things that have on my resume that I've gotten, but I could like show you I got a Tribeca rejection yesterday. So you kind of just have to apply and put your best effort forward, and then go take a walk and call your mom, or like go get some ice cream. Like that's my advice. Does that make sense, Shelley? Is that answering your question?
It totally does. It's just giving the advice for that because sometimes it seems overwhelming or
Yeah.
you've tried many times. And Ruth, I guess the question for you is what people need to go into this training with. Like, do they go in there thinking like being open, being a sponge to the, the good, the bad,
Yeah,
the ugly, etc. And you should jump in there as well. Like, let's deal with that right off the top.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm gonna hold that question for 1 second, because I want to just speak to you a little bit of what Aisha was just saying there. The one thing I agree with everything you're saying about putting in your application is a pitch and all that. The one thing you definitely don't have to do is sell us on the lab. Like sometimes I feel like people waste their whole application saying, kind of buttering us up, or like talking about like I've heard so many good things about the lab. And I mean, I'm assuming that you wouldn't be applying if you didn't think it was going to be, if you weren't responding to something in it, right? So I would rather you focus on why you want to tell it, what it's trying to say, where you feel like the weak spots are, how you feel the lab can help you, but you don't have to sell us on the lab. So I definitely, we've had applications where people do that, and I feel like I'd rather hear about you, versus us necessarily.
Dear
And
Ruth, I think you're so great.
well, but sometimes people will do that, and it's kind of, not me specifically, but the lab, and it's kind of like, don't waste your precious words on that. I'd rather you put your energy into really refining what your piece is about, why how you see the lab can help you. That's super important, but not necessarily, that the lab is great. And to your point about apply for everything, also couldn't agree more. We are, it's heartbreaking every year. Like Shelley, no, like it's heartbreaking because we're always saying no to good projects and good people. And it's because, well, this year, actually, we can possibly take up to 12. So we can take more writers. That doesn't, we may not, but we have the capacity to take more this year. So that's good. Normally we take 6. So we will take somewhere between 6 and 12. So that's good, but it is always heartbreaking. Just know that if you don't get in, it is not necessarily like, it's not because your project isn't good or you are not an amazing filmmaker. It's just we have such a small capacity and we get a large response. So I want to echo what you said there. Just apply to everything because and move on. When you don't get in, just know that it isn't, the people might have loved your piece, but just not been able to do it. So,
Okay.
but as far as attitudes coming in, yes, be a sponge, be really open, be ready, be collaborative. Know that one of the expectations is you will read everybody's scripts and be prepared to come into the lab, to give feedback on everybody else's scripts. So there's a lot of prep work leading up to it because you have to read, depending on the size of the cohort, at least 5 other scripts. So, you have to, you'll be mindful of your own, but then also be prepared to discuss others and really contribute. So it's being open for the feedback on your own, being able to show up for the others. It's rigorous. So if you're doing a lot of other stuff, it can sometimes be, really hard to juggle. So it should be something that you can really, really prioritize for the next, 5 months or 6 months.
Well, to speak to experience, I was doing an IPF thing while like I did the lab, and then I had to make no one made me, but I made an IPF thing. And then in September, I had to turn over a draft for the second part of the lab. And your girl was up at all hours. You don't be like me. It's what I will say. Because it was hard. I would say like after like I know it was rigorous, but I didn't think I was very fully aware of how rigorous the rewriting requirements would be when I got in, which is why I was like, I can produce an IPF thing as well.
Right.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
Focus on it.
It's so true. And obviously opportunities, maybe there's something you applied to before that is going to show up. We don't want you to say no to that. You know, we will always kind of help. But yeah, you want to, yeah, also it's tuition. Well, I understand there's, you know, you are making a financial commitment to this program. You want to get the most out of it. So, you know, it really is rigorous. The expectations are high. We want you to complete it. We want you to deliver. We're going to support you. So you want to be in a situation where you can really prioritize it, because we've had people who really have not been able to because of other commitments, and that's, you know, it's unfortunate. So we want you to be able to really show up and give it your all. That's the way that you will get the most out of the program. By being
Ruth, I just want to open the floor if anybody, if you know Zoom, you know that if you go to the React button, you can hit raise your hand. Or if you just quickly unmute yourself and throw a question out, feel free to do that. Otherwise, I have some questions that people sent in ahead of time. That's where I'm getting these from. So one of the ones, Ruth, that I think is really important is what they should include in their supporting materials. That's part of the application. Do you want to just do a brief rundown on that?
So like what supporting materials they should be submitting?
Yeah, like you've got script, logline, synopsis. Like explain that a bit.
Yeah. So obviously script important, right? The log line, the synopsis. You have the pitch video. If you happen to have a pitch deck or a lookbook or anything that would give us a visual sense of what you're thinking, whether you're the director or not, that can be a useful document. And if you've shot a proof of concept, or actually definitely if you've shot a proof of concept, but it's also really helpful to see your previous work if you are the director. So, or even if you're the writer. If you move to the interview stage, it is what we would ask you for anyways. So it's helpful to just kind of put that all in your package so we can see everything right up front.
Somebody's asking about filmography. Do you want to explain that a bit?
Filmography would be your credits, whatever your credits are, whatever, you know, if produced or not. And I mean, produced, whatever your produced credits are. And if you don't have any, that's okay. We've definitely had first time. We've had first time, we've had third feature, we've had the range. You know, another thing that we look for in the cohort is balance, not meaning balance everybody at the same level, but actually like just a good cohort of people that we feel like, okay, well, this, you know, it's a good range of material and a good range of like filmmakers at different levels and places. Geographic, you know, we're not going to have a lab that is only people from Ontario, you know, so we look for balance across the country. So there's a lot of things that go into coming up with that cohort.
And then do you want samples of their work?
Yes, for sure. Samples of produced work, yes.
Like if they don't have something, like they don't have a link to something, it's okay. Like you're not ruling them out. It just pads your application. And that's sort of a question I'm going to spill over to Aisha. Did you have anything special that you've added, even since you've left the lab, into your applications that people could think about?
Special? Special. Well, I don't really know. I think when you said proof of concept, I was like, oh, because like when I applied there, that wasn't a thing. But I'm like, we ended up shooting a proof of concept later for Seahorse. Like it was a proof of concept short film that we had, and I'm like, those are always so helpful. Like even just sharing, like what like you don't have to do the legwork. Well, you do have to do the legwork, but like sometimes it's just helpful to be like this, watch this 10-minute movie. This is what we're thinking for the 120-minute movie or but I think, well, the thing that I always try and do is just, you know, be yourself. Because I think that's what people respond to when taking in all of these projects. It was just like, I think you really responded to not only the interesting projects, but the people behind it, because they put themselves into it in a way, shape, or form. Like Jen with her Arctic movie. Jen lives in the Arctic, you know? So,
Yeah.
and she put herself into it. And she's a mother. The movie is called Mother. Is it still called Mother?
No, she just changed it. Luna?
No, it's a Luna.
Ah,
Is it Luna?
Luna.
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
so, like
Yeah.
putting yourself into like the whole of the application. So like, yes, it's in your script, but then also like, who are you when you're writing your letter? Like, it doesn't hurt you to be like kind of funny in your letter of intent if you're a comedy writer, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
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 Something
Well,
about that film about Luna that's interesting as well is one of our producers lab
right.
from the cohort prior is her producer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
LEP is producing. So that's kind of cool. Like we do a lot of interactions. I just have to, I'm going to throw some questions out real quick to you, Ruth, here. From Dre, he just, Ruth mentioned possibly pitching at the festival. Are there opportunities to pitch at the festival following the lab?
Well, so there's two things. So in our second phase, which is will be online, we work on your verbal pitches, and so that you are pitching to a small panel on our last day, and those are you'll be pitching to producers who are um, uh, you know industry executives who are potentially looking for material. But that's not why they come in. They're coming in to give you feedback. That said, so part of our second phase is working on that skill of verbally pitching, and you will be pitching to everybody who comes in basically. So there's that. And then at the festival, all of our cohort is given a pass to the festival. And as part of that, it's optional for whether you attend or not. But if you attend, you have the opportunity to schedule one-on-ones with, well, it's a range of executives, but producers, distributors, production companies. So you can schedule, I don't know how many, it changes a little bit every year, but you'll have an opportunity to schedule those one-on-ones and to pitch to people there. So there's sort of two components. We don't arrange those. If you decide to come to the festival, then you have that option of signing up for those.
Yeah, it's just constantly, you're constantly pitching anyway. And that's something that all of our labs teach is that you should be able to talk freely and confidently about your project. So
that's definitely the goal. We're trying to, by the end of the lab, that we want you to be able to feel like you can talk about your project to pretty much anybody at any point, whether it's like that more like an elevator pitch or a longer pitch, or there's a question I wanted to address. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, but
Raina?
yes. Just more experience. Do you need more experience in filmmaking, or does that increase your chances? And the answer is no, not necessarily. Once again, we're looking for a cohort, right? We're looking for, so some might be, we've had cohorts where we've got someone on their third feature and somebody who's on their very first. So it really is a range. But what we do look for is commitment to the industry, right? So that you have a track record of being familiar with the like if you are, let's just say fresh out of high school and haven't gone to sort of do any work in the industry beyond that, you're probably not ready for the lab, right? So we're not truly emerging. You really do need to have some kind of track record. That said, that doesn't mean produced credits. Just showing a commitment to the industry, right? So you're, film school at the college level, university level, working in the industry. Maybe you're on set, maybe you're even a PA, like just so that this is what you want to do, right? You want to be a writer, you want to be in the industry. Or maybe you want to be a director who sometimes has to write. Like I
Yeah.
Hey Ruth, so one of the big questions that's going to come out is what's the jury looking for? Like, how is that done? Okay,
how is the jury formed?
Yeah, what's the criteria for jurying? What's your answer to that?
Oh, that's an interesting. Well, obviously, industry people who are very familiar with the industry. So we have a combination of people who are reading the material, who are familiar with our lab and familiar with the industry, who work in the industry themselves, and who know what our lab is looking for specifically, which is potentially different than other labs. So
but for the criteria, I actually threw the answer into the chat there. You have like writing quality, concept. That's sort of what they're looking for. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So we're definitely looking for so it's a couple things. The script has to be well written, right? Like it needs to be well executed. You need to show some ability to write. What we're looking for in that writing is that it is can you do a rewrite? Is the writing strong enough that it feels like this person will be able to kind of go the distance, and be able to, continue to develop their piece. So we're looking for a strong execution. a really great idea, an idea that is unique and specific, right, to the writer. Own voices is something that we always look for. Absolutely in Indigenous storytelling. If you have an Indigenous protagonist, we're looking for an Indigenous writer. So own voices is really important. But so execution, great, unique idea, something that can be made, something that is like, there is viable. You can imagine it getting financed in Canada and getting made or through a co-production. And a clear theme. What's it about? Have something to say. What are you trying to say? Maybe it's okay to say, here are the things that I feel like aren't working in my script yet. And I'm not sure how to land them. That's great. That's a perfect place to come to the lab because we'll help you. We'll help you. But if you're still kind of, I don't really know what my script is about. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. Then that might be too early. You might need to work on that a little bit. I'd rather have a strong idea that's not quite landing on the page yet, but the writer has an intention, then maybe it might be too early to get a lot of feedback if you're still trying to find your feet on what it's about. I think Rob had a question about the being required to attend. Yeah, did you answer that?
Yeah, I did answer that. And that's just like, you get a free pass, which is worth like $700. But if you can't make it, we can't, it's not, the lab ends at the end of November pretty much after. So, but we do meet and we meet up and we have special fun things to do there. It's just, there isn't specific in classroom training being done at that time.
It's super valuable, but we don't make it, sometimes the travel can be prohibitive and all of that. So, but it's really, if you can attend the lab, not the lab, the festival, it's highly encouraged because it's, right, you've been, Aisha, once?
I think twice.
Or did you even go at all? Because it was
No, I went.
I went. I thought you got COVID.
I did. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, which turned into a bronchial infection. However, I had a short film called Alex that was programmed the year later. So then I just went with Alex, and then but even so,
right.
but even so, it was still helpful because like I still sat meetings about Seahorse. Like I remember meeting with the CBC about it, and it was like helpful to be like, yeah, I have this project that I developed at the, you know what I mean? Like it was all just helpful because I went again. But no, I'd only went once. I guess I was supposed to go, and then I was very sick. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, I kind of remember you were one of the ones taken down. We actually have a question. We have a question here, and I'm not even going to say the name because I think it's just an ad. So please ask your question.
Oh, hi. My name is John David Hutchison.
Hi, John.
John David.
Hi, John David.
Just you made a comment there, and I don't find it too derogatory, about the directors who sometimes need to write. So I'm a writer, director, producer, but I only write movies that I want to make. I have no intention of letting anybody else make my screenplays. I'm just in post for my second self-produced feature. Mm-hmm. And I have another script which I'm wanting to apply with that I've been working on for a couple of years now. Would that be a detriment? Are you looking specifically for just screenwriters?
No, I mean, yes, we're not a director's lab, we're not a producer's lab, right? We are, but no, like Aisha, like she would, right?
Yeah, it was not meant to be derogatory. It's just like there are people that are writers who love to write.
Right.
Everyone's a snowflake, right? I'm a person that does not like to write, and so, but I write because I'm like, oh, I want to make this. That's what I meant by it, where it's just like I like to be on beaches. I don't actually like working, but I'm very privileged to be working in this industry, and so I will write a screenplay to make it. But then also like some people like love writing, and I love that for them. I wish I were like that.
Yeah. No, I have friends like that too. Okay. Nope, that's good. Thank you. I really love writing, and then I really love turning them into movies. So, okay.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Make sure you get all that passion down into your application. Oh, that'd be great.
Great.
Let's go for the logistics part of it. I put it in the chat. The deadline, May 5th, midnight Pacific time. So you make sure that you have your application in. If you get it in earlier, that's better in a way, because we're going through the applications. If you're missing something, we can let you know. Try not to come down to the wire. That's always hard, because of course it is such a well it's so many people are going to be applying that you could crash the system, which has happened in the it
Was
has
there proof on
happened
the internet? That's a
at
vibe.
midnight, and I'm sitting there watching it. So anyway, just be careful. Try to get it in early. This just makes it a little bit better for those of us in the admin portion, but it's fine. The deadline is the 5th. Ruth, do you want to just do a quick key date? Talk about the key dates real quick here before we let everybody go.
For sure. So the first phase is August, I keep saying the 8th, but it's the 9th, right? 9th through 13th.
9th to 13th.
And then it'll be the sort of second, it's 1.5, I guess, is the mentorship, which it's the entire program is actually tailored to whoever is in the cohort. So every year it's a little different, and our mentors might be a little different because the needs of the cohort are different. There will be mentorship to get you from your first to your next draft over the course of sort of August through November, and then we're online in November for a week. You're going to have to remind me
10th to 14th. I think it's 10 to 14, and that's an online one, and it's really intense. It's really great, and we'll be working, and all of our programs are focused once we pick the participants.
Yes.
So
the other thing about the second phase is it's online, but it is mandatory. So if you already know, oh, you know what, I'm not going to be able to get that week off, then the lab might not be for you, unfortunately, this year, because it really is mandatory, and it's both phases, the phase 1 and phase 2. In between with the mentorship, now that's something that you're going to be working out with your mentor or me, and so there's some flexibility there. There's an expectation of a deadline that you will have a solid draft by that November, and a solid rewrite. For most people, that's multiple drafts. It's not just one. But it's really important that you can commit to those 2 weeks because you're not going to get what you can out of it if you're not able to be there. Well, in phase 1, I mean, they're both mandatory, so there you go.
That's good. And also check the website. So go to the Whistler Film Festival website. You look underneath the talent programs, and you can, scroll down to the Screenwriters Lab. That's where all of the information. So any of your questions, that it should be answered that way. If you do have questions that are not on there, or you need clarification on something that you really just don't know, feel free to email me. So it's Shelley Quaid at whistlerfilmfestival.com. I've put it into the chat, so you should be able to find it there. There's also a way to just click on that web page as well. We've compiled all of the questions pretty much that were sent out ahead of time, plus some we've had in the past. I'm going to be sending those out directly to you. If you registered, you're going to get those. And also there will be a link on our website to this recording. Plus there would be a link to the questions. So we got you covered, and you've, got another week or so to get your applications in. Okay, any last words, Ruth and Aisha?
Well, go see Seahorse when it's in theaters or one of the big festivals.
Absolutely, great idea.
I know it's going to be too.
No, it's going to be awesome. Not just anybody gets telefilm, so that's it really made the cut there. Plus, it made the cut to get into our lab is very competitive, extremely competitive. And so anyway, just it's worth a shot. We can, we've been told life-changing. So get your applications in, and Ruth, be safe where you are. We're so happy to have you back again this year to help. Like, you just wait until you see what a great year it's going to be. And Aisha, it is hard, but did you have fun?
Oh my God, yeah, of course. Yes. Like I was saying before to you, like even now, like the process of writing can be like, when you break down a script and you have ideas about it, that kind of thing. And it's revealing and rearranging, because like if you're writing, it's like, my hope is that you're writing from here, from your heart. But the thing that made me have fun was having allies and doing it. where we're all like, this is hard, but like, this is great because we have each other. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah.
So come have fun with us, apply. And make life
Okay.
better.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm going to, just for fun, put the gallery view so everybody can see everybody. If you want to turn your camera on, and we'll say goodbye. So that's super fun. I see Ryan Cunningham. Ryan, how are you? Good. It's so nice to see everybody.
You too. I'm great.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the
Bye,
recording.
Isha.
Bye, Lavelle. Nice. You're such a big deal.
So
Yeah.
fun.
Bye, guys.